Hello and happy Sunday, lovely friends. It's Sarah here from Funky Fossil. I'm back with our next episode of Make It Sunday. And can you believe it's December already? If I've got my dates right, this is the 1st of December on the date that we're publishing this video. So yeah, I can't believe the year is rapidly coming to a close. This week I'm super excited because I was having a rummage through my many drawers of craft supplies and stock, and I wanted to do something with our fabulous Imagine A5 stamp set. This is one that is one of our older stamps, but we've recently restocked it because it is one of our most popular stamp sets and one that is very frequently requested. But of course, when you get something back that you've not had for a while, it's really fun to try and play with it alongside newer products, because it gives it a whole new lease of life. And I'm sure you feel like that when you buy a new stamp set or paper pad. It's combining it with everything you already have that kind of brings all your older stash back to life. So when I was looking at this one, I thought it felt to me like this large butterfly image at the bottom is almost kind of going through a transformation, isn't it? One of its wings is kind of bursting into florals. And that made me think of the kind of the magical elements of our more recent collection, Dark Alchemy, that Olga Heldwein put together for us. And so I thought I'll combine this stamp set with the papers in Dark Alchemy, which isn't necessarily a combination you'd expect to see. But of course, this paper pad does have a page of butterflies as well. This is one I'm currently got in use, so I might not be able to find the butterfly page. It's never the page that you find, is it, when you flick through? There we go. So it made me think about, actually, there could be a really lovely pairing of this paper pad and this stamp set. And then, because we have this fabulous sentiment, let your imagination take flight, and we have the book and we've got this whole magical vibe going on here, it kind of prompted me to get out one of our older stencils, which is called Dreaming. And again, this has been a super popular stencil and I have not used it forever. So these are the three elements that are going to be the kind of stars of our journal layout this week, and they'll be the three that we'll put together as a makeup bundle for you. So if you check out the link below this video, there should be a link to the Sunday Maker bundle, and it'll have these three products together at a great price. So let's get to making. So I'm in my A5 art journal, and we're rapidly filling it up with our Sunday makes, which I love. And what I wanted to do, I've really kind of got thinking ahead about which of the papers I want to use as the base for our journal layout. And this is one of the papers from Dark Alchemy. You can see there how fabulous it kind of looks, at that really rich, almost astrological, I think it is astronomical, anyway, night sky with a kind of, there's a faint grid line in it, and you've got these gold elements here. So this kind of set the scene for me for a colour combination. I want really kind of moody indigo blues, some blacks and golds. So I've got our Champagne on Ice Stella Paste, which is very, very low stock at the moment. I do have some more coming. I've got some gold embossing powder. I've got my blues and blacks and the distress inks, and let's just see where we go from here. Now, the thing that kind of got me started about how we can make a journal page is I have already gold heat embossed. This is a polished gold, super fine by Wow. This is a stunning gold embossing powder. I've already gold heat embossed that beautiful large butterfly image, and I'm going to use it as a pocket. My plan is I'm going to use this as a pocket at the bottom of this journal page. But what I want therefore to do is have this cascade of butterflies, if it's called a cascade, I don't know, this wonderful cascade of butterflies almost look like it's coming out from the butterfly pocket. And then we can put some bits of ephemera in that pocket as well, because this is large enough to be able to hold some little tags and bits and pieces, which that'll be a nice interactive element on our journal page. And then I also thought, given this is all very dreamy and kind of magical, and we could put our a stencil here in this top corner with our embossing our Stella paste, and that will kind of give us a sense of a diagonal there, so we're all, the butterflies are kind of creating an archway between the pocket and the face. It makes sense to me. Hopefully it will make sense to you as well as we go on. So obviously my pages aren't stuck down, which means I can be using my stamps and paste, etc. on this paper before I need to adhere it into the book, so I'm not having to manoeuvre the book around too much. And I'm going to gold heat emboss this large butterfly cascade. It's massive. It's a really lovely image, this, and it's made up of solid butterflies, kind of silhouettes, and detailed butterflies as well, so you can add some colour to it or just use it as line art. It's a really nice versatile stamp, this one. So I'm going to, because it is a large stamp, I'm going to use a stamping platform to give me the opportunity to re-stamp if I feel I need to. And I'm thinking, where did my butterfly pocket go? I'm thinking that will put there, so it will look therefore like they're streaming out of the butterfly. And because we've got such a lovely dark paper beneath them, this is a large stamp, so it will be quite sticky. It's a newer one. There we go. Because we've got a lovely dark paper behind, then embossing this, heat embossing this in gold, it will really stand out. Make sure I haven't moved it there. I don't think I did particularly. There we go. Right, let's get some, actually, let me remember some anti-static, just because this is such a big image. I think this is probably a page I'm going to add some gold splatter to, so if I had some speckles of gold embossing powder where they weren't necessarily meant to be, it's not going to be a big issue, to be fair. So let's get this embossed. So I hope our Make It Sunday videos are getting you creative in your journals. Everything I do on my pages, as you well know, will work perfectly on card fronts as well. This is an A5 journal, so the scaling isn't that different to a large card design. But hopefully it's getting you thinking about doing some pages in a journal and keeping that artwork for yourself. So I'm just giving this plenty of pressure because it is a larger image, and I am a bit nervous that it will come up, the paper will come up with a stamp, so I may not get that opportunity for a second impression. There we go. Yeah, well, it's going to come up with me. I think we've got it though. I think we've got it there, so let's use our gold embossing powder on this. So starting with a patterned paper quite often is a great starting point for me with a journal page. If I'm not entirely sure of a colour palette or a theme, then flicking through my different pattern papers is often a kind of gives me a nudge, or something calls to me in terms of what I might actually want to create that day. And Art Sunday is the best day for crafting. Right, let me just heat emboss this. that looks like it was almost part of the actual paper design, doesn't it? What a lovely combination. That polished gold has got a really high shine to it, so we're just catching that lovely detail there, and it's bringing it together. So we can see how when we put our pocket on, that's going to look really cool. Right, now before I start colouring the butterfly that's going to make the pocket, let's put our embossing paste through the stencil on the other page, because that will mean it can be drying while we're doing our colouring. Try and be good and put my stamps back. So I'm going to use our Champagne on Ice Gold Stella paste. And of course the joy of using a stencil is I can basically have her whichever way I want her, because you're able to kind of turn it in both directions. So I think I'm going to have this figure with his face kind of looking down, and I think I've got enough space around that stencil not to need to tape it to protect the paper. So let's get some of our wonderful Champagne on Ice on the gold. We've got all the golds out today, and a very dirty palette knife. So this stencil won't actually take a lot of paste, because there's not a huge amount of open space here. That's lovely. So she really does look like she's hovering in the sky there. So that dries, that's going to give a really kind of dreamy effect, isn't it? So we'll leave her to one side to dry, and we can add some colour to our butterfly pocket. Oh, let me just wipe the paste off this palette knife. So as I was saying, the papers have kind of informed my thinking. So I've got some black soot, some chipped sapphire, and a little bit of antique linen, just in case I want to kind of lighten any areas on the butterfly. This is obviously I'm not using expensive watercolours. This is a watercolour card, but again, not an expensive watercolour card, just watercolour enough that it will take the moisture and not kind of drink the colour straight off the bat. So I'm just going to put a bit of our black soot, chipped sapphire, and a bit of antique linen. Let's see how this looks. So I've got some very dirty water, which really needs replacing. Bit of chipped sapphire. That's quite pale. Just build up the colour as you go. What I like to do is just go back in with some water to fill the area without any colour, because that just pulls the colour through and means you don't get a harsh line. The thing with chipped sapphire always surprises me how kind of purpley it looks when you pull it out, the colour in it. So I'm going to add a bit of black soot as well, because I really do want that kind of midnight dark feeling to this. So while the colour underneath is still wet, means that black will just merge in. I say this isn't a particularly high quality watercolour card, so I don't want to overwork these colours. Pull that water down. So I'm going to carry on doing exactly what you're seeing me do now, and we'll get the rest of this butterfly image coloured, and then I'll come back to put some of the page together and add a few finishing touches, but it's going to be a quick one this week, I think. I think the imagery with the butterflies is just so striking against that dark night sky that the page doesn't need a huge amount other than these kind of gold highlights. It's going to have a lot of impact, but doesn't need a huge amount of work to get the result. So let me carry on just doing my colouring here, as you can see, and I shall come back when my butterfly is all ready to go. Okay, so I've added some colour now to our gold heat embossed butterfly. I found some blue. I think it was an Ecoline marker because the chipped sapphire was a little bit too purpley for me, so I have added some blue in there as well. That looks really cool. So that's going to be the pocket on our journal page, but before we fill the pocket, let's just add the sentiment on the opposite page, because obviously our Stella paste is now dry. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to stamp the Let Your Imagination Take Flight sentiment from the Imagine stamp set in gold. So this page is going to be very, very simple. There's lots I could do with it, but there's quite a lot going on with the butterfly page, so I'm going to leave the opposite side fairly plain, and I think the sentiment's a nice large one so it won't get lost on the page. Bit of anti-static, and let's just heat emboss this. So I'm going to do this without a stamping platform. Of course, it's easier to do this stamping before I put the pages in my journal, because obviously I don't need to worry about the acrylic block interfering with the spiral edge. You totally can stamp it in when it's in your pages. Obviously it depends how much you've got already going on in the journal in relation to whether you've got a flat surface to stamp onto. So if ever you're worried about that, the alternative would be to stamp it onto some card and adhere it in as an element. There's always a way around. So we've got Let Your Imagination Take Flight. Let's see how that embosses. Oops, missed the pot completely. I'll do that in a second. Clean that up in a second. So that looks really cool. What I think I might do off camera when I've got everything stuck into my book is I might add some white into Imagination, because that's open lettering, and that might just give it a little bit more contrast for the background below. It shows it really clearly here, but I'm not sure whether on camera you can see. Beautiful gold. Right, order has been restored and I located my journal. I've stuck my 2 pages in, and then I hope you can see I've added some splatters as well. I did the splatters with the Cadence finger wax, because actually it's very fluid. So I just put a bit of that out on my craft mat, spritz with water and flick that over for gold splatters, and for the white splatters I used the bleed proof white from Dr. P.H. Martin. What I also did was use a white gel pen to colour in the word imagination, which I think really does make a difference. You can see there, just it does kind of bring it right off the page. So all we need to do now to complete this is create our pocket with our fabulous butterfly. So I'm just going to add some glue around the edge, 3 edges, obviously wanting to create enough of a space to actually hold some bits of ephemera. Just pop that there. And that actually works nicely with the white in the sentiment, doesn't it? Because the white outline on the butterfly brings those 2 elements together a little bit better. Just give another bit of time for the glue to grab. So I think this is going to be a really cool pocket, and of course you don't need to use it as a pocket at all if you don't want to, because with the butterflies kind of cascading out the top of it, it could just be a focal point as it is, but the size of it does lend itself to being able to do more with it. So I've just got some bits and pieces with me from the Dark Alchemy collection that I kind of took out of either the paper pads. I've got one of our little specimen dies, and then just used one of the rub-ons from Dark Alchemy there for a little moth, which is a lovely match with the purple on the butterfly. Just a little bit of one of the papers cut out with a rub-on across it. One of the little potion bottles. I think that one is from Cast a Spell, but I pulled that out from my little pack of stamps that I'd already coloured, because I thought again that purple would work well. And there's a large butterfly there from the butterfly pad. I'm not sure whether that might be a little bit too big for this particular pocket. So pockets don't necessarily just need to be for tags and kind of journaling cards. They can be a space where you keep bits of ephemera that maybe haven't made it into a card or a project as yet. You could of course still take them out and use them at a later date. I'm wondering whether I need a butterfly, because it's quite a size. No, I think it's too big, isn't it? Quite like that though. Then I'll lose the specimen slide. So I think I'm going to keep it just with those 3 elements. You can pop out. Of course, you could add a little bit on the back of here for a bit of journaling, but on this occasion they're more for decoration than they are for kind of notes. And that is the finished layout. Let me just show you. So a bit heavy-handed with the splats here, but actually that's worked out perfectly for me, because that was kind of the emptier space on this page. So I've got a nice burst of gold. We've got our fabulous butterflies kind of filling that page, and our dreamy face looking down from the skies. So I'm really pleased with how 3 completely unconnected bits of my craft stash came together. The A5 Imagine stamp set, the Dark Alchemy papers, and the Dreaming stencil, all released at different times, but just shows how when you get your elements out, you can absolutely recombine them to create different pages and projects. So I hope you've enjoyed this journal page. I hope it inspires you to have a rummage through your older stash and see what new combinations you can come up with. There will be a Sunday Makers bundle as always in my shop, and I'll be putting the stamps, stencil and papers in that bundle. And it just remains for me to say, please do like and subscribe to my channel if you don't already, because I'd love for you to join me for my future episodes. We're live every Wednesday, and we have a Make It Sunday video every Sunday with different projects to hopefully inspire and get you creating. So thank you very much for spending your Sunday with me, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye for now.